Every country on earth at the moment is reforming public education. There are two reasons for it. The first of them is economic. People are trying to work out, how do we educate our children to take their place in the economies of the 21st century? How do we do that? Given that we can't anticipate what the economy will look like at the end of next week, as the recent turmoil is demonstrating. How do we do that? The second, though, is cultural. Every country on earth is trying to figure out, how do we educate our children so they have a sense of cultural identity and so that we can pass on the cultural genes of our communities while being part of the process of globalization. How do we square that circle? The problem is they're trying to meet the future by doing what they did in the past. And on the way, they're alienating millions of kids who don't see any purpose in going to school. When we went to school, we were kept there with a story, which was if you worked hard and did well and got a college degree, you would have a job. Our kids don't believe that. And they're right not to, by the way. You're better having a degree than not, but it's not a guarantee anymore. And particularly not if the route to it marginalizes most of the things that you think are important about yourself.
For too long, I've seen and experienced the disparities that lie within and even define our education system. I've seen the squeaky wheel get the grease over and over again when it comes to our educational leadership giving in to the angriest, loudest parent, rather than making just, logical decisions. I asked, what about the parent who can't come in to yell and scream because they have other children to care for, they have to work, or they just don't communicate like that? I've seen kids whose parents can afford to take them to frequent weekend tournaments, paying for hotel rooms and foods each time, being given a higher status than those who cannot afford such luxuries. I asked, what about the students who don't participate in that lifestyle because they spend time together as a family doing other things, or because parents have to work more than one job, forcing them to work or catch up on the weekends, or because the family business requires them to be available at home? I've seen kids who enter the secondary education with skill deficiencies or apathy or aggressiveness towards school being ignored and treated as if they don't care or cannot be helped. I asked, what can we do to make school work for them? Why can't we do this or why can't we do that? I've seen school systems make changes that are in direct conflict of learning. Longer, earlier school days, increased class sizes, increased content, increased testing, decreased funding for learning experiences outside the classroom, decreased teacher training, and decreased unstructured learning and exercise, just to name a few. I asked, why? Can we not do that? Don't we know better? Aren't we the education experts? I'm done asking. My hands are really tied having to teach with equality rather than for equity. I want to know what I can do for my small world of students who need someone in the educational system on their side. Students are a bundle of experiences that affect their learning and their state of mind. Alternative education requires a steering away of the focus on the cognitive function of a student, not an elimination of it, toward the humanness of a student. Students come into school from ever-changing cultural backgrounds, social experiences, and available resources. To meet the needs of this very diverse group of students, teachers and support professionals need to become acquainted with their students' backgrounds through conversations, professional development, personal research, and personal experience. Really, personal experiences are the best way to create a connection with the student. Students don't always have the scaffolding necessary to navigate the education system available to them outside of the classroom. Positive, supportive relationships are essential. A knowledge of social services and other support services is helpful. Teachers should become acquainted with the available community resources, but they should never play the role of a social worker. Minimally, they should have the ability to refer students to appropriate personnel to receive support essential to living and learning necessary. Students deserve to have their basic needs met with empathy, support, possible solutions, food when desired, rest when necessary, and brain breaks when desired. A team of education professionals interested in each student's success need to be readily available to support the student, family, and the teacher. The general education is locked on by large groups and a structure to manage those large groups, tending to neglect the personal needs of students. Flexibility and open-mindedness are essential for successful instructional strategies. Individualized learning plans are the key to success as they meet the learner where they're at, tailor instruction to that learner's preferences, and guide the learner toward personal educational goals. ILPs can include, but aren't limited to, traditional face-to-face instruction with directed intentional support, blended learning models such as Flex, Self-Blend, Online Lab, or Face-to-Face Driver, supported independent studies, project-based learning, and work experience. Students who enter alternative education programs typically feel defeated and many times view themselves as failures in school. Positive, supportive relationships are essential from both the teacher and other learners. A growth mindset should be modeled and encouraged, and mindful experiences and instruction should be a regular part of creating an open, inviting learning environment. Positive statements should be made and seen frequently, and positive, relaxed energy should be created.